Welcome to the show, Jackie and Louise. I'm so excited to have you on.
Thank you so much. We're excited to be here and
absolutely
talk a little bit about BLK
Yeah,
and our story, I guess.
absolutely. I feel like for people, they've been seeing BLK all over my Instagram stories, my TikTok, and I feel like everybody has questions about it. So this is going to be a really fun, informative, informational session for them podcast episode. Plus they get to know the founders, which I think is super important.
Great. So we started BLK about 12 years ago, and it really came through a very serendipity kind of way. Jackie and I actually had a manufacturing plant here in Langley. We were looking to ways to support our mom's health while she was going through chemo and radiation. So we started making concoctions for her at the plant. One of the ingredients we came across was fulvic acid, not folic acid, fulvic acid. And we never really knew much about it. So we kind of dived into it and found out that it, professed to have all these amazing properties to it. So we started giving it to her in her coffee and her tea, because she wasn't really able to take pills at that point. Or supplements.
More pills.
Yeah, more pills. And yeah, we put it in her coffee and tea. It made everything go black, which we thought was kind of wild. And she actually felt better for taking it. Now, those are her words, but we did notice she responded well to it.
Yeah.
And she wasn't a person to embrace holistic medicine at all. She's very traditional. She didn't believe in taking pills or supplements either. And for her to say, I think I feel better for taking this, we were like blown away. So that for us was an exciting moment. And yeah, she did very well on it. Her oncologist said, if she's feeling she's doing better on it, everything I've read about it sounds good, keep it going. So that's what we did. And she actually lived a few years longer than she was supposed to, whether it had anything to do with the fulvic or just, her sheer will, anybody's guess, but we like to think it had something to do with it. And at the end of the day,
well, certainly supported her health going through that.
Absolutely.
Because she was able to walk farther. She wasn't it had gone to her bones, right? So it was kind of like her back hurt, everything. And with the fulvic minerals, she was able to walk. She was able to do more because it took down the inflammation. So that was a big part of it. So
we initially gave it to her because fulvic acid is a chelator. It takes the heavy metals out of your body. So we thought with the radiation and chemo that she was having that would be helpful, and sounds like it was.
So your mom is more of a traditional medicine type of person. You were just experimenting, making some concoctions. You were saying, were you both kind of into health and wellness at this point, or were you just honestly like grasping at straws and just like, we'll try anything to help mom out?
You do tend to grasp at straws anyway, no matter what your faith. Because this is someone you care about. You want to do everything you possibly can. So you'll embrace everything you possibly can. But no, we grew up, our dad had been a farmer. He was very much about the soil and the environment. And so, that rubbed off, of course. And we were brought up on brown bread. We were brought up on organic before it was organic,
popular. Yes.
I was brought up on chicken fingers and fries. I always joke about it.
Didn't do you any harm though. You look great.
I'm now into the more of the organic type of food, but your dad being a farmer and all of this, I mean, fulvic acid, what is it exactly? Like how did you even stumble across getting this into your mom's, tea or coffee as she's trying to heal and recover and, going through chemotherapy and stuff?
Google's a wonderful thing, that's absolutely where we started looking.
Spending hours.
We were already into kind of trying new products, creating new recipes for what we did. I
want to point out our plant was an organic plant. So everything we did in there was organic fair trade. So we were already in that vein. And then it was kind of like, okay, what can we do here to give mom something? So we would spend lots of time in our R&D just in the kitchen checking things out, and it wasn't until we stumbled across this very, we got it. It was this black kind of substance, and we were kind of going, well, they say it's supposed to be do all this wonderful things for you, and we started playing around with it, and it was amazing because putting it in, when we first put it in water and you just saw it go in and it kind of turned everything black, it was kind of mesmerizing. But then beyond the black, it had what we would say, probably we call it the miracle molecule, but I think it's really a magical molecule, because if you think about this, it's the smallest molecule known to man, and it can carry 60 times its own weight. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen a little ant crawling around, and they can carry 20 times their own weight. And you know, they'll have a big, huge leaf on them or whatever, and they're carrying it around. You go, how can that little thing carry that? Well, think of that little tiny molecule inside your body, clinging on to all toxins and helping you digest them and eliminate them, and also been able to travel through your bloodstream and help carry nutrients into your bloodstream. So it's a pretty amazing little molecule that kind of came from millions of years of plant decay deep within the earth. So it's not a surface product. It's something that's water extracted from deep within the earth. And then how we do ours, which is a proprietary way, is goes through a cleaning process for a long time, and we filter and sterilize, but not killing the good bacteria. And it goes through like I would say a pharmaceutical cleanse with keeping the nutraceutical side of it, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
No chemicals used. Yeah.
That's amazing. And is it like, can you find fulvic acid anywhere? Is it their specific parts in Canada, or?
Yes, there are. Fulvic acid, it grows everywhere. Everywhere there's plant decay, you will find some degree, but one, it's about concentration, it's about quality, and it's about quantity. And there are not many reliable quantitative deposits in the world that are not contaminated, because you get it at different layers in the earth. And the one we have here in Canada, which is where we get ours from, is just touches on the Canadian Shield. So it's
way up in the Rocky Mountains.
Pretty pure. Yes. There's no toxicity. There's no pollution around it. Yeah, as Jackie said, we put it through a heavy duty process to cleanse it, and put it in a bottle.
That's amazing. You mentioned the miracle molecule, and even when I was looking through all of the pamphlets and all the information on BLK, it is full of so many different types of minerals. Are you able to touch on some of the minerals and what the benefits are of it inside of the body?
Absolutely. So when we were kind of researching it initially, the first thing we came across was it was an anti-inflammatory. And if inflammation is the
root of all disease.
Exactly. And typically in the gut. So we're actually doing test studies right now on gut health and the effects of fulvic acid on that. And they look really promising. So we're excited to share that in the near future, we hope. Gut health, inflammation, it's a chelator or a detoxifier. It increases your metabolism and proteins. It's a heavy duty natural electrolyte. In fact, it's the most powerful natural electrolyte. And amino acids, minerals.
Yeah. Now, remembering all minerals come from the earth. And so it has the 77 trace minerals that are in fulvic minerals is trace. So you have to remember it's trace amounts, but the combination of all of them. And that was another part of where we talk about quality control. We make sure that our source, because you have to be really careful, there's sources in China and sources all over that are full of heavy metals. And you don't want to be putting heavy metals in your body, right? So you have to really know that the product you're getting is all about purity. And that's where we shine in our studies and research and the stuff that we've done over the last 12 years.
I think that's what sort of makes me sad being in this space is people try to do the right thing. They try to consume things that are good for them. And there's just so much garbage out on the market that contains so many heavy metals or pesticides and herbicides. And you think you're doing one thing that's great for you, and you're actually really not. You're making things worse for yourself.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if you think of most crops are grown on deficient soil, right? And then you're looking at the, as you said, the herbicides that they put on, pesticides. We only stopped using DDT, was it, I don't know, was it 1975, I think is the number. And all that other DDT went to Mexico. We sold it all off. So they were using it. It's still in our birds. It's still in our wild animals today. And so we as humans have made lots of mistakes in our decisions on, because the more population, the more you do the mass farming, and the more you get away from what nature said, the ancients, said. And I think if you follow traditional ancient methods, I think that's, if we could all get back to that true farm to table, we'd be a lot healthier.
And the less handling of food, we handle it far too much, so it becomes actually something else. And that's not a good thing, I don't think.
No, it's even the concept of water. It's funny because I've tried to explain to a few people. It's this idea of like, if I drink water, I'm good. And for me, I'm like, you have to add some sort of electrolyte or mineral back into the water, because it's not enough just to drink water and think you're hydrating the body. I feel like there's so many people who drink so much water, but they're constantly dehydrated all the time. And I actually just ran out of my BLK drops, but I swear that there is a difference between consuming it in the morning and feeling hydrated, and not consuming it and just drinking water. And I usually add like a little bit of sea salt just to help with the minerals and the electrolytes, but I don't know. I find the drops really help.
Yeah, no, they're great. I love using my purse. I take them on the plane with me.
We're, believe it or not, we are anti-plastic, but today, and everything is BP toxin plastics, but we're moving over to different packaging coming up. But for me, the drops is where when I travel, I keep them in my bag. They're perfect, the size that they don't pull you, take them off of you when you go through. I don't know, I've gone through with so many things and had things taken away from me, but my BL drops they've let me take, and I drink it all the way when I'm flying to London or Australia or wherever I'm flying, and I always feel great. When I land, I always feel great.
Yeah. So that leads me to a question I have. How often should you be consuming these drops? Can you consume it too much? Is there like an ideal amount you should be consuming it throughout the day?
I would stop when your poop goes black.
Does that happen?
It's true. It does happen.
Oh, okay.
It's not a bad thing. It just, it's
in our talk, we had to do a toxicity study to get FDA grass, which is generally regarded as safe. And in doing that, they have to test the mice. They have to put in as much as they can into them so that they respond.
Yeah, so they think they're trying to make a toxic level.
Because they have to determine what that toxic level is. And what happened with our mice is that they couldn't get enough into them to make it toxic. So that was one of the hiccups when we were doing our safety studies. They had to really play around with that. So yeah, you can take a lot without any effects. I mean, we say, if you're going to have it, you could, have, I don't know.
It's 9 drops.
Yeah.
And then I do 9 drops in the morning, and I do 9 drops in the evening. Or if I'm feeling like, I've just done a big workout, and you're sweating a lot, you need your electrolytes replenished, that's when I take it with me. So
I do on average 4 of these a day. Because I can, right? But as Jackie said, you work out. I find them really help with the workout. You don't get as tired. You recover more quickly. So
absolutely, yeah.
I feel like that's not a bad problem to have, that your product is so healthy that they can't find like a toxic
I
level
know,
of it.
surprised at that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're not doctors and we can't prescribe for individual people. Everybody check with your health practitioner and take their advice on what you should be doing for your body, because we're all different. But on average, you could drink 3 of these a day, or you could have 10 mils of the drops a day and you're good.
And then is there anybody who shouldn't consume it, or at least maybe get permission from their medical doctor, like a pregnancy or breastfeeding? Or is there anybody that you would think maybe should have an okay from a doctor?
Well, it was really interesting. I went with a friend of mine to her first chemo appointment. And in there, it was sort of like chemo 101, and they were telling you what to expect and what you should and shouldn't do. And one of the things they said, you can take a multivitamin, but we don't want you taking supplements of any kind while you're going through chemo. So she asked about the fulvic drops or the fulvic acid, and he said, no, I wouldn't take anything that is going to fight the chemo. We want the chemo to take over your body and do what it has to do. So I found that really interesting. I know other people who have taken it while they're doing chemo. So we can't answer that. Really,
we gave it to Mom while she was going through radiation chemo. And chemo. So, and I have a friend too. Cancer is such a prevalent. It's prevalent everywhere. So I have a friend too, and after the chemo, they gave her Gatorade. And I was like, seriously?
Blue
Gatorade. And they said, oh, you can drink as much of this as you like to replenish your electrolytes. And I was going, wow, because that's an education thing, because it's all about marketing, right? They put millions of dollars into saying, there's lots of electrolytes. As you said, you put a little extra salt in, or you can take bicarbonate soda, or you can, and you can get electrolytes in many ways. But getting a natural electrolyte that actually comes from the earth, and it's bioavailable. It helps with digestion. It's just great. So I really do think it's a magic molecule. I said to my friend after she goes, oh yeah, well, and she's well educated. And I said to her, so are you going to be drinking the blue Gatorade? She goes, well, it tastes good. I said, well, I'm about to send you a case of our product, only because it's not like I'm trying to poo-poo anybody's product, but I just wanted her to feel the difference. If you're taking this and you're taking that, I'm not out to badmouth anybody's product, but I truly believe if you have cancer, you shouldn't be having sugar.
Yeah, no.
Well, yeah.
There's this concept too, and again, I'm not a medical doctor. You guys have been very honest in saying like you're not medical doctors, but it's this concept or this idea of like the more sugars we consume while going through something like chemo or cancer, it feeds those cancer cells. And what we want to try to do is bring it back into an alkalized state of the body so that it kind of suffocates the cancer cells, or at least prohibits it from growing.
Absolutely. Well, we were actually, we constantly are looking at the latest greaters in that cancer realm, just because our mom had it. And there is a great program on intermittent fasting and cancer, doing chemo and doing the intermittent fasting, and all the testing they did in Japan and over the world with mice and people that had amazing results, because they weren't feeding the body was allowed to heal itself. And then when they came off the fast, all they put in them was healthy stuff. So it was, and they had remarkable, I think it was 90% results were incredible. So I do believe the body has the capability of healing itself if you let it. And I'm not, I sometimes intermittent fast, and sometimes, I'm like anybody else. I wake up, I'm starving, and I'm just, you go and have what you like for breakfast. But I do believe there's something about letting the body rest and heal. And then when you come off of it, having something alkaline, detoxifying, and then keep working, on eating healthy, clean foods.
Yeah.
I think that detoxification point is so critical. And I remember somebody commenting on one of my posts about my husband and I recently did a 30-day detox, and their like comment was, that's what a liver is for. That's what detox is. And in my head, I'm going, oh my God, this person is so just uneducated, I think, because missing the point. Like, yes, the liver does detox itself or detoxes the body, but we are so horrible to our bodies that we are constantly overloading it. And it, in my opinion, it needs a break at some point or some way to heal itself, because if you're constantly just bombarding it with things that it needs to detoxify, eventually it's like that metaphor of the sponge. Like, it can soak up so much, and then at some point it's going to become so overfull that it just leaks out into the rest of the body.
Exactly right.
And that's where disease happens, because I do believe the liver is a cleanser of the whole body. And I think, it regenerates itself pretty darn good if you give it the opportunity to. But if you keep insulting it, like think of people that have cirrhosis of the liver, or they just keep insulting the liver, assaulting the liver, and it can't operate anymore. So in this case, it's bad foods, toxins. Think of vegetable oils, PUFAs, all those sort of things. And it's relentless. What we constantly breathe in our air because of pollution in the cities, we've made a lot of our water, even drinking water in the US, it could be toxic. I mean, you look at Detroit, didn't they have that where their water went on fire at one point because it was, coming out the pipes that way? We're constantly inundated. And if we don't personally take the time to look after ourselves and take an interest in healing the body, I think it's a dangerous path to go if you don't.
I don't think we can just leave it in
the doctor's hands.
No, I think all of us have to take responsibility for our own bodies as much as we can.
Yes,
absolutely.
And it's not, in my mind, it's not BLK or fulvic minerals that's got the cure-all and be-all, as you just pointed out. It's body, mind, and spirit. There's a combination of all. You have to kind of get your exercise in. You have to try and eat healthy. I mean, if you're eating at McDonald's every day and you're taking fulvic minerals and think that that's going to make it all good, it's not. You have to I would even say the 80-20 rule. You do 80%, you try and eat as healthy as you can.
For sure.
And then, on the weekends, if you're out in a restaurant and you want French fries, hey, go for it. You know what I mean? Or whatever it is you want, whatever your demon is.
Yes. No, I couldn't agree more with you. I think it's funny. I actually get this question all the time about my nutrition. And I'm like, I feel like I'm the last person to be talking about nutrition, because I'm like, I just eat as clean and organic and healthy as I can, but I also live my life. Like, I love to have a cookie on the weekend. I love birthday cake. Like, you gotta live.
You don't want to live without, right? And I think that's again, when you go have a birthday cake and it's a celebration and you have some birthday cake, it's part of the celebration. It's a part of life. It's happiness, right? And as long as you're doing the rest of it behind the scene, then it's all good.
It's about balance.
Right? Yeah, like the podcast. So what made you both decide to create and launch BLK? Was it just the momentum and what you had noticed in your mom that said more people need to know about this?
Yeah, well, actually, Mom was the driving force on that, really. What, as mentioned, we had a manufacturing plant. Jackie and I used to create, sauces and marinades and dressings and fun stuff like that. And we had a kind of an understanding of things to put in it that were good for you and stuff to keep out. But at the end of the day, it was when Mom got sick that we kind of, drilled down trying to find something that might be helpful to her. And when we found this, we thought it was kind of unique, and, seeing our mother actually feel better and improve a little bit with everything she had to deal with really affected us. And, one of the last things, and this may sound corny, but one of the last things she said was, take it to the world, girls. This is great. So that's what we've been trying to do.
Something that was, we had no idea that it was going to become this popular. To be really honest with you, it's a gift. But sometimes you do things out of love and the gift comes back. And we want to see more people healthy. That's our goal. We don't want to contaminate the earth. We want to give back where we can. And we're big believers that in the karma of what goes around comes around. I'm not saying that, you know, we deserve anything that more than anybody else, but I believe if you do good, it comes back to you in spades. And that's how we feel about BLK. We just want to see people. We've had lots of emails from people saying that they were going through kidney treatments, as an example, where you're on dialysis, and he drank BLK and he said that he felt so much better afterwards. It was a quick recovery. And we get like people with fibromyalgia, we get all sorts of really positive people coming back to us and saying, you know, it just, they've replaced it for most of their drinking water just because it helped them that much. So it's a good thing.
I think people want to take good care of themselves. Like they want to be healthier. They want to at least try, but sometimes it also seems like there's so much to do. And I think just being able to add in drops, it literally takes an extra 3 seconds of my day to add it to my lemon water. And I know I'm doing something so good, but people like feel like it's got to be like farm to table. Like they have to go out, they have to do all the things, and it takes hours to do all this stuff. And it's, you know, to make things so quick and effective and easy to implement into people's lives is massive.
Especially today, absolutely, because, you know, time being of the essence. And, you know, fulvic acid, it's got a DNA to it that's millions of years old. So you're talking about ancient forests that
plant matter of ancient forests
that, you know, that's what this comes from. And imagine, you know, the nutrient value of those old forests. Pretty amazing. And fulvic acid is what makes plants grow. When we first launched this, we took it down to a trade show in California.
This was interesting. And
we had our other products there as well, but everybody was like, wow, this is different. This is cool, because it's California. They love cool and different. And everybody, you know, showed such interest in it that we got a distributor at that show right away. We got, you know, a broker, and it happened very quickly for us because it was so unique. And it was easy to get on the shelves because it was so different, and
nobody really understood
it. So it took a lot of education. So for the first 2 years, it was slow going in terms of getting to people understand, well, why would I drink it? Why is it black? Etc. So that was challenging for us, and we didn't know the first thing about water, about beverages.
And still to this day, we are constantly trying to educate. And again, I say we're not scientists, but educate from what we believe and what we've read, people to drink it, not because it's black and it's might be cool as younger people think, and they do all that fun, you know, whoa, it really is black. Oh, can you taste it? But really what you're drinking is something that's far more special than that. And it's I would say one of the best things, along with your daily routine of your lemon water, your other, like I do like ginger shots and other stuff during my day. I've got all my routine too, right, with my turmeric and everything else. So I just think it's just an extra fabulous add-on that helps all those good things you're doing absorb better, faster into your system. And that's the gift of the miracle fulvic mineral molecule.
We had one scientist who was actually looking at the fulvic acid being the carrier of medicine or nutrients into your system in a patch.
Interesting.
Because it's such a small molecule and it can carry, you know, 70 times, 60 times its own weight. It's really effective at delivering nutrients into your body, or medicine, or whatever it happens to be. So that's pretty powerful. Very powerful.
And if you also think of it in the Indian Ayurvedic, they've been using it for thousands and thousands of years. So Shilajit, and they, you know, they take it out of the rock, they scrape it, they gave it to their babies, they gave it to the pregnant woman. I mean, this stuff is not new, it's not a secret. It's just that it's been there and it's now back in the light again of being able for everybody to.
We just tried to take it mainstream.
Yes.
When we started, so
a little bit crazy, trying to take a black water mainstream. I don't know what we were thinking, but we're here to.
But like you were both saying, it's nothing new in a sense of like, we've been doing these things for like since the dawn of time. We've always been connected to the earth, but it's just, I feel like growing up in the well, I don't want to even say in the Western world, it's just we've gotten out of the habit of going back to kind of our roots. And even when people try to, like we were talking about before, eat healthy, people don't realize that like our soil is not what it used to be. It doesn't carry the same nutrients, it doesn't carry the same minerals. So we're already, yes, you're doing something good, but you're getting not as much nutrients as we once used to, even, like 100 years ago.
Oh, absolutely. We do a lot of traveling, and in our travels, we've talked to people that thought that tomato ketchup was full of vitamin C. And that's where they believe they were getting their vitamin C supply.
And for a lot of people, that is their vitamin
C. So I'm not sure what the vitamin C content is, but we've talked to people that just don't have that knowledge and awareness. And I think that that's something we have to do everywhere for all good, for all people. We give it to our dogs. Our dogs love it. We put it in their water, and at first they it's funny because they know there's something different in the water, and they'll sniff it a little bit, and then they'll go back to it and they'll drink it. And I think they do. Our dogs are all old, but they're doing great. They're all old.
Oh, hi, puppy. Oh, it's so I did the same. We had a dog who he has since passed, but he was 18. And when we got to the point where it was like, I think he was like 14 at the time. He wasn't doing really great, but he was still okay. And I was like, what if we got to lose? Like my husband just started giving him CBD and it worked. I mean, the dog lived like until 18. The vet actually joked and said, when he eventually passes, you need to bring him into me because I got to see if the CBD really did make a difference. And it's like, maybe it did, maybe it didn't, but he lived like an extra 4 years, and it's a natural component.
Yeah, that's a good age. And once again, you're saying CBD, there's CBD and there's CBD out there. And there's, we've, because we experiment a little bit, we've tried some CBD and you go, wow, you that right away. And then other even going, I don't know, what is this?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have to do your research, unfortunately, and you have to be careful in what you.
But it's funny you say about the CBD. I had a Karen Terrier, and she just passed last year, and she was not quite as old as your dog, but she was up there. And
she came from a puppy mill.
But yeah, and she, she was really struggling walking, and again, the CBD was amazing. I actually rubbed it into her joints. I did it the other way because she seemed to, perk up for periods, but it was good. So I agree with you. I think, holistic goes right to our animals as well. So, so try your dog, if you have one now, drops, because I do believe that it is great for their digestion as well, because they're licking garbage and all that when they're walking around and eating things they're not supposed to, right?
Yeah. No, that's such a good point. It's just even for their gut. I didn't think of that, but when you said that, I was like, oh my God, that's so true.
Yeah. And BLK is an antibiotic. Yeah.
So good. So one of the questions I had gotten when I originally first posted the BLK on my stories was, is this charcoal water? And I assume you do get that question quite a bit because of the water going black. What is the difference between the BLK water and charcoal water?
Charcoal takes everything it touches, it takes with it. So that's all it does. It's like a sponge. It just sucks it up and takes it out. And it has its purpose and its place, but you wouldn't want to take that every day. BLK is much more sophisticated. So it will carry nutrients into your body, but it will also take the bad stuff out. And don't ask me how to explain that because I can't, but it does.
And just to be clear, fulvic and humic coexist together. So when you have humic, you do have charcoal in there.
In the humic.
But it's the fulvic that is the carrier, and that is the miracle molecule, and it works great with the humic, and they work, they always coexist. So there is small amounts of charcoal in the water. And that's, again, I'm assuming that would be probably for the humus for the color, but it's the fulvic. And if that is for us is the miracle of the product.
Yeah.
So you're both busy ladies. You both run a company, and Jackie, you had mentioned that you did your turmeric and ginger shot. I'm curious, are there any other health and wellness practices that both of you do on a daily basis besides your BLK drops that you feel really move the needle forward?
Turmeric.
Yeah.
I think turmeric, ginger, and garlic are part of both of us on a daily basis.
Absolutely. And also, we kind of independently of each other have our own way of doing mantras of being grateful, gratitude for each day, the people we meet, the things we do. I think, you know, sometimes things happen serendipitously, but I also believe in positive from the universe. And if you think positive, you get positive back. And that's kind of our mantra. We really try and be, you know, energized, happy people. And you have to work at that, because not every day you feel happy. Some days you get up and you go, yes, one day you, yes, I'm going to conquer the world. I feel so great. The next day you get up and go, who was that person yesterday? I feel like crap today, you know? So you constantly have to work at it, but it becomes a good habit. So it's about putting good habits in place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was me the other day.
What's that? Was that you the other day? Yeah,
that was me the other day.
It's so weird how it happens though, isn't it? It's just, the mind is an amazing thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe, you know, I always get parking spaces, and I do.
She always gets parking spaces. I never get parking spaces, but she goes, I'm going to get a parking space. Boom, she gets one right in front of the restaurant or wherever we're going. It's very true. So.
There was a guy on, I believe it was The Secret, the documentary, and that was one of his gifts. He was like, wherever I go, it doesn't matter if it's like downtown New York, I will get the most optimal parking space just because I believe that it's there for me and that I'm going to get it. That's a gift.
Well, yeah, again, that I don't know how that happened for me, but I think it just built on
your belief that you would get a parking spot, and it always works. And I guess I never believe I get a parking spot because I just don't get them.
Oh, that's so funny.
So I can't complain.
I bet that comes in handy when you guys are traveling all the time. You're like, I just get the best parking spaces.
Absolutely.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you whether it comes to BLK or I hope I'm saying this correctly, fulvic acid, that you want the audience to know, maybe, you know, just a study that you found incredible or just like a informative tip that's been really life-changing?
I would have to, you know, we've heard lots of people, we've had everything from, you know, it's a natural Viagra to, you know, you hear everything.
However, we did the autism
that's right,
study. And because again, a lot of stuff, it all starts in your gut. Your health starts in your gut. And we were giving, Autism Speaks. Mm-hmm. And they had a whole, I don't know, like 30 families working with us, and we were giving them the fulvic minerals and
for 3 months.
And they had great results. We never carried on that study, but the parents probably continued to get the product, but we were giving it for free to see how all these autistic kids responded. And apparently it was very, very positive. The other study we did was in Florida. I can't remember the name of the company, and it was on antioxidants, and fulvic minerals had the same antioxidants as celery juice. So we thought that was an interesting study. So there's so many studies that are out there. There's a lot if you go on and you study it yourself, and you can look up PubMed and all the medical stuff for Alzheimer's. There's so many. I wouldn't even know where to direct you because there's just that many. But what I can say is
actually, if anybody does have any interest in, you know, looking further into fulvic acid, I would have them go on PubMed, because there's a lot of documented medical studies that have been done there, and they'll get an understanding of what fulvic acid can do.
Another little tip, by the way, with your drops is if you buy beautiful big bouquet of flowers and they start to wilt, just put a couple of drops in the water and the flowers
Change
will
the
come
water,
back to life.
put some
Change the
drops in.
water, comes back to life. So we do that all the time, and our flowers get double the life. So it's just
our partner, actually, his office is in his garage, or
not garage, it's the back of the house office.
Anyway, it's the back of the house. And it doesn't get a lot of light. And he had a plant in there, and the plant, of course, was not responding well because it wasn't getting, photosynthesis. And he gave it BLK, and it popped right up. So it's kind of cool. And actually, people that grow pot knew about fulvic acid, because I've had some people say, oh yeah, it gives you like a 30% greater yield in your crop. So yeah.
Ooh, that is a really interesting point. It's funny, my husband has like such a green thumb when it comes to this, and he's always doing these like compost teas for our plants and stuff.
Yes. That's a form of fulvic minerals, by the way. It's just not ancient, but it's a form of fulvic minerals. Yes.
Oh, and I mean, they respond, like, it is crazy. When we drove here, when we moved, and like the plants were in the back of a car. I mean, one I think had gotten accidentally like shut in the trunk, and we got them, and it was like, oh my God. And if it was me, it would have been like, throw them out, start again, we'll try again. And he was like, no, I'm going to try to bring these back to life. And they are flourishing. Like, our cactus is so big. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. And it was like this big, and it keeps drooping over. That's how tall it has gotten. And he's like,
so slow normally. So that's amazing.
Whatever he's putting in those compost teas is wild, because it is working. But I will tell him about the fulvic minerals. I don't want him to take my drops though.
Oh, we can send you some more. So give us the information afterwards. More drops in your plants.
When you said that, I was like, oh, I have a plant right now that's not doing so hot. But I was like, but do I want to give it the rest of my bottle of stuff?
We'll replenish it for you, so it's all done. So
this has been such a fun, interesting conversation. Like I said, people have been seeing this all over my Instagram stories, and now they know the message behind everything. If people want to check out BLK online, if they want to purchase some, where can everybody go and get some of their own drops?
Well, just to be, the exciting part is in Canada, we've just launched, because we were only US before. So
just so you understand, we couldn't sell fulvic in a beverage when we first started in Canada. It was not approved. So it's taken this long to be able to bring it to market here. So we're really excited to be able to do that. We're just going to a trade show next week in Toronto. We're going to be having distribution across the country just very shortly.
Yes.
But in the meantime, if anybody wants it, you can buy it online.
Perfect. And where will it be carried? Do you know where it'll be carried in Canada?
Yes. So we have, there's a list of stores I know we have, but we're not in the main chains yet, because we wanted to start organically and go into all the health food stores. I know in Toronto, it's like Summerhill stores, the Purple Potato. There's a lot of different smaller 3 or 4 chain type stores. Whole Foods will be taking us. We have choices here in the West Coast, and there's a lot, but they're not mainstream. So you're not going to walk into Loblaws and find it right away. But we certainly are talking to everybody. It's because we just launched basically in the last 6 months. So it takes a while to get it on the shelves, but we'll be there.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for this conversation. This has been so much fun. And I will make sure everything is linked in the show notes so people can grab it right online.
Oh, thank you so much. Really nice to meet you, Megan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Keep doing what you're doing. We need more of you out there.
Oh, thank you so much. This has been so much fun.
Take care. Bye now.